like boys just get exposed to like larai jhagra, like fighting just from a young age. They get exposure or accessibility to go out more, to access gyms, public spaces, all of that stuff that, in my opinion,
Is there a daily routine for you?
I mean, my general daily routine, I don't know if I find comfort in it per se.
You know, the men versus women bodies and how women feel that they can't do this, or how have you cope up? If anyone is trying to achieve a body, how much time it requires? What are some of the things that they can do at home to achieve it?
Honestly, don't build a body like me.
Yes.
Build a body like you.
Yeah. Hello and welcome to Foresee Now, and today we have a very interesting guest, and she's actually an MMA fighter, top Pakistan in fact fighter, undefeated. She has represented at IMF as the first Pakistani female, and I'm super excited to have her because she's also a national champion. I see her story as a heroic thing, and I would like to speak to her because she's a motivation for a lot of young girls. So thank you so much, emanfalconkhan, to join me, and great to have you.
It's my pleasure being here. Thank you for having me.
Lovely. So Eman, speak to me about this idea, like you represented Pakistan at an international platform. How did it feel, and what does it mean to represent your nation at that level?
It's scary, honestly. The first time I ever went to represent internationally was in 2022, like bilkul shuru mein, like at the start.
Yeah.
And it was my second fight ever in a cage.
Okay.
Doing MMA. Like I had done one MMA fight before and I won it, and then I went straight to Abu Dhabi for the IMF World Championships, and I lost in the very first round of my very first fight.
Wow.
It's a 4-day to 5-day tournament, and I felt bad for like a day or a couple of days, but it made me feel like, okay, I need to work harder now. But it's scary.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I think scary is the part where you have to test yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that's where you know what are your limits. So Eman, because having this journey, and of course there are a lot of struggles. It's not just a win-win every single day.
Yeah.
So how do you then keep yourself motivated for something like this? And wins don't happen every day. So speak to me about this transition.
So I do believe in motivation, obviously, but I think discipline is more important. Where motivation fails, discipline takes control and will get you through. Like when it comes to diet or waking up or like going to sleep early or keeping my habits healthy, that's discipline. And discipline, in my opinion, it comes from like the discipline, and confidence comes from the promises you keep to yourself,
Yes.
So if I say I'm going to go for training today, I'm not going to be like, then maybe I'll just skip training.
You just have to show up.
Yeah, you just have to show up, whether I'm like feeling good, not feeling good, whatever it is. It's a tough sport, but the more you show up for yourself every day, the further you can take yourself. I'm so sorry.
No, it's
I don't
okay.
know why my phone keeps buzzing. I'm just
It's
gonna
okay,
turn
it's
off.
okay.
Yeah.
So, Eman, I think discipline is definitely important. So speak to me about this combination of consistency and then discipline, because discipline is when you're saying that this is something that I want to do. You have made that decision. Maybe that's your goal, long-term goal. But then consistency keeps you at it. There will be days when you just don't want to do it. Maybe you'll even question why I am even in this.
Yeah.
And especially for a person like you, who is, I think, a case study, an example, first of its kind. Because, I don't know, like, was there any motivation for you? How do you keep yourself consistent in this career?
I have been through a bunch of struggles in my life, whether it's personal, mental, physical, injuries. Like you said, that kind of sitting there and thinking like, what am I doing? Like, why am I doing this? And there are good days and bad days. Sometimes you're the hammer, sometimes you're the nail. But I feel like just being better than myself yesterday, it's motivation enough for me. The discipline to be like, whether it's the first day of my period or I just don't feel like doing it, I'll still show up for myself. And that it motivates me to be more disciplined.
No, definitely. And, speak to me about the first win, which was the bronze. in 2022 and then in 2024. So what kind of mindset shifts you have personally witnessed or felt emotionally, physically during this time,
Yeah.
or something that you've learned from it that you're still applying today?
So, I won the bronze medal in 2022, I think like late 22. And before that, I actually suffered an injury. I got attacked by a dog
Okay.
and it bit me in like 4 places.
My God.
And, I had like stitches. Dog bites are prone to infections. I was moving around between Karachi, Lahore, Islamabad. A bunch of other stuff was happening it was just not a good time for me. But, I was out for training for 2 months also. I couldn't do anything. My mental health was suffering because, like, when you, like, if you, I were to tell you, you can't do art, you can't create a single art piece, nothing for 3 months, you'd go crazy.
Yeah.
You'd be like, "मैं क्या करूँ अपनी जिंदगी के
That's
साथ?"
your
Like,
calling, right?
Exactly.
You can't stay away from it.
So to not be able to do what I love for 2 months, a little bit more than that, was really, really taxing on my mental health. But when I finally got back into it, almost immediately after, someone contacted me saying, "Do you want to go to IMAF Asian Championships in Tajikistan?" And I'm like sitting there like, like I haven't,
Wow.
even my coach was like, "You're not in training, you're not at your peak performance. Why would you want to do this? There are less than 2 weeks for you to go and you just started training last week." My parents were like, "There's no team that is going. It's just you and you can pay for it. But like, as a girl, why would you want to go alone and stuff like that?" Like,
Yes.
parents have that concern. And I was like, please, please. Like, I was like begging everyone to just allow
Yeah,
it to happen. And then I finally went and I got the bronze medal, and it was just like, and that fight, like, I lost that fight, but it was still to date my favorite fight because I fought so hard. I fought so hard, and it made me want to work even harder because I saw little gaps and I saw places where I had improved and places that I wanted to improve.
And also right after recovery, so I think it meant a lot for you,
Yeah.
Because see, if you're training so much and maybe perhaps then you gain a certain level of confidence on your own self, on your own body. But, I think understanding this, that you were just coming out of recovery and you just got an opportunity, you were half prepared, perhaps. And then you just went through it, either way. So I think this is so important because sometimes we feel that we're not ready for a certain opportunity. But jumping right into it, knowing that you're not fully ready, I think that's the important bit. But Eman, speak to me about the fact that you were away from training. Did this create more appreciation for what you do?
Of course, yeah. How, like, when you're struggling in the desert and you don't have water, and then you find a glass of water, you're like, "Oh, it's the best thing in the world." So when I was away from training, I gained weight. My mental health suffered. I didn't know what to do with my life or my time. Like, do I read a book? Do I play video? Like, what do I, like, those things are fine also, but they don't drive my soul.
Yeah.
So I was a bit lost, but coming back to it, I was like, it felt like I had just taken a dip in a cold, like, poo. It felt so good to me, so it was like refreshing.
And how long have you been training in this? And what is the routine like for you? If for someone who wants to pursue this, like, what's the routine like?
It takes a lot of time. By the standards of MMA or MMA, like combat sports, I did start pretty late in my life. I started by like, I think 23, 24 years of age. And so I would say if someone wants to pursue it, start immediately. If you're starting at 35 or 37 and you want to be a professional athlete, it's probably not a good idea. Like, train, by all means, train. But to compete, like, a good age range would be like 16 to 35. Like, that would be the ideal range to compete in. After 35, you can, but it becomes harder.
Yeah, definitely. But then do you think if this is, like, you can say the peak age years for someone to pursue this kind of field, and do you think there's enough awareness in Pakistan? Because, there are no examples. So you became the first example. So So what do you think? How do we navigate this? Because I think a lot of women have the potential. They just don't know that they can go into this. They can train and become someone,
Yeah.
and represent Pakistan. And
Yeah.
MMA, to be honest, before meeting you, I didn't know about this. So
Yeah.
that just says a lot about how much aware people are.
Yeah, I don't think women here have that much exposure. Men, at least a lot of men in my circles or extended circles, they're fans of watching the UFC or MMA in
They're much
general.
more exposed in general.
Yeah, they are much more exposed, and I feel like boys just get exposed to like larai jhagra, like fighting and all of
One
that
way or
stuff,
the other.
one way or another, just from a young age.
Yeah.
But I also feel like they get exposure or accessibility to go out more, to access gyms, public spaces, all of that stuff that, in my opinion, you need to have to thrive. Girls are like kept at home to
Yes.
like cook and clean.
They become
and
more hesitant as well to pursue something like this.
Yeah, and there is a very big like stigma around, like, forget MMA, around just going outside to the gym. Like, you're gonna wear those gym clothes and go
Yes.
out. Who's gonna drive you to the gym?
Yes.
Or gym membership, who's gonna pay for that? Like, I understand why a lot of people get discouraged, but I think it's at a government level, like a higher level also. Like, schools don't really pursue, like, they do wushu and taekwondo, which have been like collegiate sports for a long time now in Pakistan, but that is also, and the athletes who compete in that wear national colors, meaning that they're under the government and they go
Right.
represent
Yes.
Pakistan,
Yeah.
officially. I so far have represented Pakistan under the Pakistan Federation, but it's a privately created, sponsored federation. It's not really, or it hasn't been government associated in the past, but now the Pakistan MMA Federation has collaborated with the Prime Minister's youth program.
So it's a recent thing.
It's a recent thing, like within the last year or so. So there are, and I bet in the next 5 years or so, it will be a more accessible sport.
So you think after this step was taken, now there will be more women or young girls pursuing this? Or
I hope
do you still
so.
see no response, no one is interested, there needs to be more examples and awareness on this?
No, I think in the last 5 years, like from 5 years till now, there have been so many more women who have
Okay.
come forward, who are doing this. And I think 5 years from now, there will be even more women,
Yeah.
maybe even Pakistanis in the UFC, fingers crossed. I hope so.
Generally, when I've seen anyone, interested in sports, half of it, and this is something that I've personally, when I engage in conversations, I learned that half of it, it's because they want to, achieve certain aesthetics to their body, right? Whether they're going to gym, cardio, HIIT, all kinds of sports. And on the other hand, you're doing this combat, which is, again, a very different kind of sports. I'm sure there's a different level of training in which we will just delve more deeper.
Yeah.
But speak to me about this ratio of aesthetics versus the bigger vision, perhaps. Like, what is this about for you?
For me, it's not about aesthetics. I think aesthetics, like it, in the past it was. In the
Okay.
past, I started off kind of going to the gym, being like, I want a slim waist and I want thin legs. And everything
Okay.
was like thin. And I had a negative view of myself,
Right.
negative self-talk. Like, why am I so fat? Or why do my arms jiggle like this? Or why is my stomach, like, it was very, like, I hated myself. Like, that kind of self-talk. And then I guess I started going to the gym with that same goal, okay, like, just run on the treadmill for 30 minutes and
Yeah.
you'll be skinny. Drink 5 green teas a day and you'll be skinny, like. But once I started MMA, the most beautiful thing happened where I saw what my body was capable of
Yes.
doing instead of what it looked like, And in that process, I kind of shifted away from that, like, I hate my neck
Checking
and
yourself on the
shoulders
weight,
and yeah.
weighing scale and
I
stuff.
still have to do that.
I mean, yes, for the training bit.
But now the negative association isn't there. I love my body now. I love the way it looks. I love the way it feels. mostly. Like, there's still a lot of injuries in MMA.
There are bad days, obviously.
Yeah, I still feel sore. I still feel like my back, my neck, my fingers, my all of that. But it's more like, wow, look at what I'm capable of. Look at how strong I am. Look at and this is what I urge people to do. Like I urge people not to, like, if you want a good body and you want, nice legs,
Yes.
chiseled arms,
Yes.
100%. Do what makes you feel good at the end of the day, And if you're working out and you're doing all of this stuff and you don't feel good, you can have a six-pack and still feel like crap.
Yes.
So really,
I think this is so important what you
Yeah.
just said, because sometimes people say that, oh, you are so toned, even like
Yeah.
models and stuff. Oh, you must never have any kind of body dysmorphia, any kind of psychological, because there
Yeah.
are such things that exist. When you become more conscious, then there are possibilities that you feel more about your body,
100%,
right?
yeah.
So I think people need to understand that. And Eman, speak to me about this. And was this thing that you overcame over time? Because obviously you had a journey, and you, as you said, when you joined the gym, you were thinking about these things just like any other girl. You were like, okay, I want a chiseled body. And again, that's not easy to maintain, because after a few months, if you're not consistent, you're back to your weight. So how did you come to
Yeah.
this thing? Because this is so empowering, right? So how did you come to this understanding?
I think it's been about over a decade now that I've been working out, going to the gym. I feel like a lot of girls get scared कि like I'll lift a 3 kilo weight and suddenly I'm gonna look like Mike Tyson or something. Like, that's not how it works. It's taken me like I tell people it's taken me a decade to look the way that I look, to train the way that I train. Yes, I'm Pathan, so I have good genetics also. I'm not counting that out, but it takes so much dedication to your workouts, to your diet, to your sleep, like your
Yeah.
hydration, all of this stuff that once I became an athlete, I began to understand and educate myself more, and I lost my train of thought. What was your
No,
question?
it's fine. You answered. But see, what I'm also trying to understand, Iman, is that, see, you had a very, you can say, struggle plus, a journey on which there were milestones, right? And milestone on top of milestone, brought you where you are today. So speak to me about these learnings, because I wanted to resonate with anyone. And yes, MMA is great, and you are in this career, you have a different kind of lobby now, people internationally, right? I'm sure you have made friends now. This feels much more normal.
Definitely, yeah.
This feels like home, this feels normal to you. But anyone who is starting out, sometimes they're just like, oh, but my body would look like this. And sometimes, and I've actually heard this more from girls, that, oh, what if I become too muscular? What is too muscular? And I just want you to bust some myths here.
I think muscles are sexy. Like anyone who
Yes.
has muscles are the only proven, or like building muscle is the only proven anti-aging cure.
Yes.
More than collagen
100%.
creams, more than any of that stuff. I'll show you a little like graphic after this.
Okay.
Of like a cross section of someone's thigh, and it just shows you very clearly how much muscle can actually protect you in the future from aging.
Especially on glutes as well, I think, like the lower body.
Yeah, your lower body, and for women it's even more important.
yes.
Our lower bodies.
For our sustainability, for the posture, for all of that.
Yeah. But so I think that, going back to what I said, it's taken me 10 years to look like this, to look muscular, like an athlete. And it's taken so much hard work. An average person who just wants to diet and looking toned is basically building muscle. That's it. Looking toned doesn't mean going and doing cardio for 30
Yeah.
minutes. You're not going to get the results that you want.
Yeah.
The average person won't look like an athlete unless they put in hours and years of dedication to their craft. Like I said, lifting 3 kilo weights is not going to make your shoulders look
Exactly.
like,
The most it can do is just reduce the fat ratio out of your body, which is good, because I think this is another thing that I want to come to, which is that when men train, obviously they can, because of their physique and they're men, they can lift more, right? They get results easier obviously they don't get periods, right? Their bodies are not same. So women have a different kind of a cycle, and obviously to do something like this that you are doing, it's then double hard, because then you have to think about your body as well,
Yeah.
because there's a different kind of cycle. Men operate on a 24-hour cycle, right?
Yeah, their testosterone peaks in the morning.
And then and it kind of reduces towards the end. And then for women, it's like a entire month.
We're like, we have 4 seasons. We're like
So speak to me about, this, the men versus women bodies, and how women feel that they can't do this, or how have you cope up to this narrative?
I can't speak for all women who say I can't do this. I've never once thought, like I said, I train on the first day of my period. It actually helps me feel better.
So do you train differently than on the first period? Like, how do you do it?
No, I mean, if I'm lifting weights, it doesn't matter to me. The difference, I don't feel it that much. But if I'm doing like kickboxing or MMA type training, then yeah, I tone it down a little bit. I don't take so many punches or anything
on your abdomen or that
but it depends. It varies, because there are times where I have gone hard on my first day. There are times where I still train, but I'll take it a little bit easier. My cardio gets a little bit affected by it, which is, I guess, the only downside aside from the cramps and stuff. But it is just a mindset thing.
Yes,
I feel like I fought on the first day of my period too. I've had a fight.
Wow.
I've literally started my period with one fight. I think it was like super fights, the first one. I started my period like 2 hours before the fight, and I was like sitting there. Everyone's warming up, and I'm sitting there on the side. I'm like, it's okay. Like, just, you have to just switch off your brain a little bit. If I sat there and I started to think I can't do this, there's no way I can do this, then
definitely
I can't do it. You are as strong as your mindset.
Definitely. I think the mind body connection for any kind of sports, any kind of gym activity, it's so important. But then I want to come back to what you said about muscles and strength and anti-aging, because this is personally my favorite topic too. I mean, I see this more through the lens of nutrition. I'm also someone who's quite interested in what's happening in biotechnology. Let's say, how do we reduce the sizes of telomeres of DNA, because obviously that affects our aging and stuff. So I'm interested in that. So I really want to understand if there are women who want to do training, not maybe for MMA, they want to do boxing or this kind of badass stuff. They want to have fun while they're training. How do they not think about all the, again, stigmas and stuff that you've already spoken about? And how do they understand this? Because awareness is the key. How do they understand this, that muscles are supposed to take you forward through your age, especially after 30? Because if I'm not wrong with statistics, then I think women lose 1 kg of their
I'm
their
not
muscles.
exactly sure.
I'm not sure what was the thing, but women lose much more.
I know what you're saying. Like our muscle mass and bone density decrease
much more faster than men, right?
But I also think it's, as we get older and we tend to have more responsibilities, women have children. I'm not in every case, but like most women, whatever the statistic is for that, but like life catches up to you basically, and people stop working out. They stop prioritizing their fitness, their movement, their nutrition. Going to McDonald's and getting a burger is much faster than cooking. Like, I'm not saying it happens all the time, but it's an easier option. Fast food or junk food or whatever it is, living an unhealthy lifestyle, it's easy. It's really, really easy to do that. But actually putting in the time and effort to invest in your body and your health, it feels like torture in the moment, because you're like, why am I lifting this weight? Why do my muscles hurt so much? I'm so sore the next day. But in the long run, it helps you so much more.
And that's so right, because when I was consistently training in 2019 till 2021, and I saw the difference in my body even way after. So I stopped training completely. I was just traveling, and this is something that I observed, that my body had that muscle, some level of strength that is now just there. Yes, I have to obviously keep up, and I wasn't that consistent afterwards. But I think women need to understand that the time that they're putting in the gym or whatever sport, if it's obviously related to muscle mass enhancement, I think that's much better, because cardio isn't doing much. It's just like increasing your heart. You're just bringing it up for timing. I think that's fine.
Yeah, it's
So
not bad, but
yeah.
on its own, it won't make much of a difference in
Yeah.
your physique and
Yes.
health.
No, that's 100%. And Iman, if we try more understanding this routine that you have, and of course it's a very professional routine, not everyone can do, because it requires a different mindset, different
Yeah.
goals in your life, and then you're after it, right? And then there will be setbacks and all. So if anyone is trying to achieve a body that is similar to how you have, or your training, how much time it requires, and what are some of the things that they can do today at home to achieve it?
I can't exactly say how much time it requires. It's too general, because, I would have to look at someone, what their starting point is, what their body looks like, basically, what their lifestyle is like, what their nutrition is like. There are too many variables for me to say how long it would take.
Yeah.
I said for me it took a decade, but really I've been training on and off for a decade. In the last 6 years, I've been training full on, literally 1 to 2 sessions a day, 9 sessions plus, give or take, in a week. Like, the last 6 years of my life have been very intense in a good way. I've enjoyed it. What I can tell people to do is to just start. It's the hardest thing, but also the easiest thing to do.
Yes.
Just if you sit there, if I sat in my bed under my covers with the AC on, with my dogs with me, I'd be like, wow, I don't want to get up and I don't want to do anything, But in the morning, when my alarm rings, I don't sit there and open my phone and scroll. I throw back my covers. I feel like crap. I want to just put it back on, and I just want to snooze for 10 more minutes. But I'm like, if I snooze, I'll feel like crap, and then my whole day will be thrown off,
Yeah.
So I get up the second my alarm rings and I start my day. And the reason why I said that is because the more you think about it, the harder it becomes to do. Just go. If you have access to a gym, get a membership and start. If you don't have access to a gym, literally pick up water bottles, do body weight exercises, use whatever you have at your disposal. Now, YouTube is free for the most part. All the workout videos that you want, follow, put on your phone, TV, whatever, put on a workout video, start something.
Right.
If you want to build a physique like me, again, I don't know how long it's going to take. It will take a lot of work, but just understand the human body, understand the muscles that you need, and honestly, don't build a body like me. Build a body like you.
Your enhanced version. Not anyone else's. Body as an
enhanced version of me from 5-10 years ago, and you should be an enhanced version of you from 5-10 years ago, or yesterday, or last week.
Even 0.1%, I think that counts, because then that adds to 365% after a year, and I think this is your scale you should be looking at. But Eman, you said something interesting related to mind-body connection, and I want to come back to it, because it's all about pushing yourself. Like you said, if I made a decision to just stay with my comfort and on my Netflix, then you're good to go. You're not thinking about it, or maybe perhaps you're overthinking it, so you'll stay in the bed. That bit is important. But then once you're out and you're doing, and perhaps that day you're not giving your 100%, then how do you take away something that is sort of like a learning from that day? Because what I'm trying to understand is that those days are the hardest, and you have to take away something, because otherwise you won't be motivated. So how do you feel after that day? What is your thought process? What is your inner dialogue that day?
That's a good question, actually. Luckily for me, I have coaches. There's one martial arts coach, let's call him, and one is my strength and conditioning coach. So one tells me do deadlifts, and one is like punch harder, so I feel lucky that I have two good coaches who give me feedback. My martial arts coach, shout out Coach Rizwan, he's very harsh. you know. So he's a very harsh voice in my head. And the other one, Mohammed, my strength and conditioning coach, he's not so harsh, but you know, he like pushes me at the same time.
Yeah.
And but they both give me very, very good feedback, you know. They'll be like, my coach will be like, why were your hands down? Why did you allow this takedown to happen? But he'll also tell me like, this is how you fix it, you know. And as for my mindset, I can't say it's always positive, because sometimes I'm like, oh my God, you're so stupid. How could you let that takedown happen? And it discourages me a little bit. But my coach Rizwan, he checks it and he was like, never get into that headspace. Like, he can see it on my face without me seeing it.
Wow.
He's like, you had a look of defeat on your face. And I was like, that's like, damn, it shows on my face, you know. So there's a power to self-talk, positive self-talk. If I sit here, and same with negative self-talk, if I sat there and I was like, damn, I suck so much, like, how can I like let this takedown happen, or how could I let this guy punch my face, or whatever, versus what can I learn from this moment, or you know. So I feel like that's something that shifted in my head over the past few years, where even if I'm angry or I feel emotions, I ask myself, what can I learn from this? It's kind of like it breaks a cycle in my head, at least. Like, if I'm feeling angry and I say, what can this anger teach me? Like, oh, it's just been like, I don't know if I should call it a hack, but it's a hack.
Wow.
You know, like a mental hack.
Right. And I think this is something that other people can also learn from, someone who's in sports. I mean, you know, when I follow sports internationally, and some of the people that I personally love seeing sports so they always have a mantra, almost like a daily ritual, something that just keeps them going. You know, when they're having that hard moment, they just come back to it, because that's like almost like a safe space. So do you have that? Is there a daily routine for you?
I mean, my general daily routine is my daily routine. I don't know if I find comfort in it per se. It is comfortable within itself, but my comfort is my dogs.
Okay.
You know, when I feel like my heart rate is up, or I just want to sit in the shower and cry, like I just, you know, because there you have those days also.
Yes.
I know I can just like lay my head on my dog and I just pet her, and I feel like I'm talking to her through my brain, or I'll talk to her out loud. I'm like, you know, I had a really rough day today. I got taken down 7 times in
I can
3
totally relate
minutes.
to this, because I actually feel animals are much more reciprocative to the energies. Not
100%.
every human is, but all the pets are, you know.
Yeah, you know, that's so true that you said that. Like, even if I don't say anything, I feel like...
You feel that energy, you know.
Yeah.
I think energy is everything, frequency is everything. I mean, I try to understand everything, like, as far as the things that I personally achieve, which is quite different to a journey of an athlete. But I think somehow the mindset needs to be so aligned and so focused. And that can only happen if you have that positive self-talk, positive affirmations, you know?
I think even though I'm an athlete and I have certain rituals or a certain routine, or, you know, I feel like to be an MMA athlete, to compete at a high level, you have to be a little bit crazy, you know? Like, it's the only way you can...
I think for any kind of a high ambition, you need to be a bit crazy.
Yeah, but from like competing at a high level, the teachings trickle down, and they trickle down to your daily mindset, your daily routine, and they can be applied to everybody. 100%. Like, one of my favorite parts about MMA is that you're intentionally putting yourself in uncomfortable positions. Like, you know, in jiu-jitsu, there's this thing called a rear naked choke, where someone's on your back, they have their elbow on your neck, and they're trying to choke you out. And you get put in this position, for example, and you have to breathe.
Yeah.
You have to take control of yourself, your emotions, everything, and you have to get out of it, you know?
Yeah.
And that's a really physically daunting position, where someone is almost literally trying to kill you. At least your body thinks that this person is trying to kill me. And you have to get out of it. And to perform under that pressure, it just makes the rest of your life seem so much easier. You're like, if you're not trying to kill me, I'm not bothered.
Ultra extreme thing that you've given. So yes, I think that is the case, definitely. But yeah, I think the inner self-talk, I think it does a lot. And like you also said, I think all athletes have that. And I
Yeah.
think you need to be able to try a few things to see what works for you,
Yeah.
right? Maybe that is someone you can talk to. Maybe that is your own pets. Maybe that is some dialogues that you can say over time, and that
Yeah.
creates your new reality. Because I actually believe in this. If you're in a panic situation, you keep saying the words that are positive,
Yeah.
and you start almost like visualizing something that is positive and
It
successful.
it really does work, before my gold medal fight, when I was training for that fight, the one that happened in Lahore last year,
Yeah.
I would wake up every morning, and while I was brushing my teeth, I would look at myself in the mirror, look myself in the eyes, and be like, "You're gonna be an Asian gold medalist." Like, I was talking to myself as if it had happened already. I was like, you
You have to,
are
this
an
is how you
Asian gold
manifest after
medalist.
visualization. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Iman, in terms of your own body, in terms of the posture, movement, working on daily tasks other than your life as an athlete, what are some of the learnings that you took from MMA as an MMA fighter that you're applying, or maybe people get surprised that this is actually helping you? Is there anything?
I think just the ability to stay calm under pressure. You know,
Right.
I I just feel like I'm a happier person overall. I don't know if happy is the right word to describe it, but I just feel like my nervous system is calm. What I just mentioned earlier, if you're not trying to kill me, I am nothing really bothers me.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. I feel like Pakistani society is very like catty.
Yes.
And a lot of it just is like, "वो क्या पहन-" and like, what was she wearing, or
Yes.
like, what is she doing, or everyone's in everyone's business. I'm like, I avoid all of that stuff. Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like I'm a happier person than who I was before I started MMA. Before I started MMA or combat sports, I felt like aggressive is the right word, I guess. I felt like I had a lot of anger and I
Yeah.
didn't know where to place it. And I'm not saying I'm completely zen now and I don't feel any
Yeah.
anger or frustration. I do. But I can tackle whatever problem is in front of me head on without really being scared of it.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
doesn't mean like people think that if I do MMA, that means I can confront you and like I'm just very like open to fighting
Yeah,
about
yeah, yeah, yeah,
everything.
yeah.
But the most of the fighters that I know and have met are the most chill people. They want to avoid fights at any point necessary.
Right.
I
Right.
feel like the people who don't know how to fight are always the ones who want to fight the
Yes,
most.
that's such an interesting perspective on fight, as in general. But also, Iman, when we speak about this mindset shift that you get, and trying to see things way beyond what they are. I think sports does that. So when you're someone who has been into combat training in specific, what do you think is one takeaway from this entire training so far, that you would feel to share, that has improved your overall mindset in general, how you deal with people, or the kind of circles that you're sitting in? Like, how has your field helped you in any of this?
Um, I think my circles or the type of people that I interact with are not really dependent on my sport per se. I do like that I've got kind of an international group of friends, but like my inner circles or the people who you can have a lot of
Yeah.
friends, but your best friends or your inner circle,
They're
they're
not,
different.
yeah.
And they're not dependent on MMA. They've never been dependent.
Yes.
They're like, we're happy that you won. They're like, even if you lose,
They're happy for your wins and your
exactly
when you lost.
they're
Yeah.
just there with
Yeah,
me in
yeah,
my
yeah.
life, and that's the best type of thing. So I don't think my personal life, which is a good thing, my personal life is not really affected by MMA per se. Like, it 100% is
Yeah,
my daily
yeah.
routine. I have really good reflexes and
Yeah.
balance now, which is like,
Yeah, yeah,
one
yeah.
thing that I feel like MMA has helped me with. But yeah, I feel like people wise, I just don't have a tolerance for anyone's bullshit.
That's
if anyone is having, those like high school problems
Yeah,
and
yeah,
all
yeah.
of that, like that cattiness back and forth, I'm like, don't involve me in it. I really I could not care
That's the
less.
best thing you can do.
Yeah, I have bigger goals and aspirations than here.
Yeah,
Like
makes sense.
I want to be here, and I don't. If you want to be here, you wouldn't behave like that.
Yeah, definitely. I
Yeah.
understand. You have to vibrate higher, basically, for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what would be, so the last question, of course, there's so many more questions, but we have to wind it up. What would be the advice that you would want to tell to young girls specifically, because they don't see many role models? What is your advice? How can they start, and how can they improve just like 1% today? Like, they want to be motivated, they're seeing you, as an example from every angle. So what would you say to them?
I'm so happy to know, even if I have inspired one person, one girl to start, even going to the gym, it would make me the happiest person on this planet, honestly. But that's just it. I feel like if you want to be someone and you have all these big goals and aspirations, write them down, materialize them. Remind yourself of that every single day. If you don't feel like you have a goal or a purpose, and if your goals...
Writing helps a lot, journaling, yeah.
It helps so much.
I
It
do
helps
that,
so much.
yeah.
Like, make a little mood board, like a
Vision board, mood board,
vision board. Like, put all the pictures up. Like, make it so big it scares you. Not big in size, but big in dreams.
Ambition. I mean, don't be scared to put things or to think big,
Yeah, and then look at it every day. Remind yourself of it every day. Remind yourself of the why.
Yes.
Because if you don't have the why of your purpose, then it's very easy to get lost in
and get distracted by a lot of other
and get
things.
distracted. So I feel like if you remind yourself of why you're doing what you're doing every single day, especially if you have big goals, and every girl should have such big goals that everyone around them goes, are you sure you want to do this? Like, this is how what people around me said. They're like, are you, like, you're okay, you're fine? And I'm like, I'm perfectly fine, I'm good.
Yeah.
So your goals should scare you, they should scare everyone around you, and you should remind yourself of it every single day. And I truly believe that if you do that and you're aligned within yourself, things fall into place for you.
Definitely, 100%. And I think this is one lesson everyone can learn from, not even if you're not into combat sports, something to take away from Eman. And Eman, thank you so much for these last words and everything that you shared about your journey. I personally feel we could do one other session on just how the physical transformation of body can be done.
Yeah, why not?
So I'm all about, learning, cross-sharing, and creating that dialogue, especially for women. So I think these conversations are so important, and they open new spaces so that women can express themselves. They're not so hesitant. And that's why it's so important for women to see other women in all fields of life.
Yeah, and thank you so much for having me. Honestly, like, this is why I like to do what I do. Also, why I come onto these podcasts and do interviews and stuff, because I want more women to see. I want more women to, like, say, screw this, I'm gonna do what I want to do, and, like, hell or high water, no one's gonna stop me. That is the mindset I want more girls to have, because I feel like women especially, we get put on the back burner, and we think, oh, we have to keep our husbands happy or parents happy,
keeping
or
everyone
keep
happy.
everyone happy, everyone else happy except for ourselves. We are usually end up being the final in our list of to-dos. So I want more women to be like,
No, definitely.
To work on themselves.
This is one reason why I started this, and I think these conversations are so important. And thank you so much, Eman, for coming in, and thank you so much, everyone, for watching the show and for this episode. Thank you.